buildings clocked out early. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob's oddest editing mistakes that slipped through. Number 3.
Oh, this is it!
Where's the popcorn? It's in the microwave, Tim. Superhero. He screams in pain.
In the first shot, Ernie's microwave has 21 buttons, but in the next shot, it suddenly has 24. Guess the microwave got an upgrade mid-scene. Number 2.
Oh, barnacles!
Look what you did to this ball of...
So, SpongeBob's rocking a red glove on his left hand, but in the next shot, poof, it's gone. Guess that glove took an unexpected vacation. Number 1.
Help! There's a mad chopper on the loose!
I'll handle this, citizen.
Don't do it, kid!
I'm on, man!
So, SpongeBob's mopping the floor when a customer walks in and talks about Patrick chopping everything, but then, poof, the mop and water disappear. Guess the mop just couldn't handle the drama. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe. These SpongeBob proofs are the ultimate spot mistake challenge. Number 3.
Every single bite. Gary, you sure you...
So when Gary eats all the food, he burps out his bowl. But in the next shot, surprise, a ladder suddenly appears next to it. Guess that ladder just popped up out of nowhere. Number 2.
Get rid of your bad memory as well.
Cha-ching!
Karen 2.
So there's a tray of food on the table, but when Plankton reveals the Karen 2, the tray of food magically
SpongeBob,
disappears.
do I
Guess it
look
just vanished
burned?
into thin air.
Well, you do
Number
look
1.
a little red. Robot?
Yeah, a big robot stole everybody.
Oh no! Everyone will burn, and then they'll get off.
Exactly.
SpongeBob
You
drinks from
can't
a
spend a
glass
day
and
at the
drops
beach
it
without
on. But in the
sunscreen.
next shot,
That
the
sun
glass
is way
gone.
too hot.
Looks like it disappeared without a trace. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Could you spot these SpongeBob errors?
That
from a
robot
mile
is
away?
out on the
Number
island.
3.
Nobody can get to him. SpongeBob, maybe you can use those sun reflectors to point the sun's rays on that robot.
So when Sandy blasts off in her escape pod to Texas,
If you
she
hit
leaves a
one of the
big
buttons
hole
on the side of a
top her
lifeguard
dome.
tower,
In
the
very next
reflector
shot,
will
it's
turn.
completely gone.
Connect
Guess that
all the
hole decided
towers
to
and the
take
light
day
will
off.
shoot
Number
right
2.
out of the big reflector on the island. Then all you have to do is swim out to the island and turn the big reflector onto the robot.
So
I'll stay
Squidward
here
finds a bowl of onions
and protect
right
the
under his
babes.
nose on
But
the
I,
road. But in
can't
the very
swim.
next shot, the onions have vanished. Looks like those onions pulled a disappearing act. Number 1. All right, so take a look at this customer right here. He has a drink on his table, right? But when Squidward places a bowl underneath his face, the drink is suddenly gone. Where'd it go? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob animation goofs that defy logic. Number 3.
Normal. This videotape should help.
Are you tired of...
So when SpongeBob says this videotape should help, his left arm is completely missing. Looks like even SpongeBob isn't safe from animation glitches. Number 2. So when all the customers are running away, the tables inside the Krusty Krab just disappear. Guess they decided to take a break. Number 1. So during this scene, when SpongeBob throws Krabby Patties into Squidward's mouth, the Galley Grub menu is missing. Guess even the menu couldn't make it through the scene. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob's most astonishing production oversights uncovered. Number 3.
Not even if you were...
All right, so SpongeBob rips off the top part of Mrs. Puff's ski mask, leaving the bottom
You've
still.
just met
But in
the
very next
Sponginator.
shot, rocking
I
her
feel like a
regular
new
outfit
sponge.
instead. Talk about a quick wardrobe change. Number 2.
Here we are, SquarePants Manor. There you are.
Take a look at the door. There's no doormat. But just a few minutes later, SpongeBob pulls a foot out from under a doormat that definitely wasn't there before. Did that doormat just appear out of nowhere? Number 1.
Good Bob. I'm not gonna rest till I do.
When SpongeBob sneaks toward Patrick's house, Squidward's house is completely missing. Is this a magic trick, or did someone forget to draw it in? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. The most confusing SpongeBob editing mishaps. Number 3.
Would it be possible to play your clarinet a little better? I don't think the jellyfish like it.
When SpongeBob asks Squidward to play his clarinet better, Squidward is wearing his pink nightshirt. But in the next shot, he's suddenly wearing his normal brown shirt. That's a clear continuity error. Number 2.
Who better to bring this maniac to justice? Perfect. It is I who need to catch this maniac.
Check this out. SpongeBob throws the newspaper on the ground, but in the very next shot, the newspaper is just gone. That's a classic animation slip-up. Number 1.
The open window maniac! I hope you learned a valuable lesson!
Now take a look at this window. In the first shot, it opens to the right, but when SpongeBob pops his head out, the window is suddenly opening to the left. How weird is that? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob errors that even the creators didn't notice. Number 3.
Hey, can't you read? No flash photography!
So, when Plankton is placed in a jar, there's a sign above him that says no flash photography. But in the very next shot, that sign completely disappears. Definitely a clear continuity error. Number 2.
Put that muddy shovel in the trunk.
All right, during this scene, Mr. Krabs' blue shirt turns completely white for a few seconds. Yeah, that's definitely a weird slip-up. Number 1.
And we're going
Oh, goody, another one.
Me, stop right where you are. I'm afraid we're gonna have to arrest the...
So, as you can see, SpongeBob isn't wearing his hat, right?
That's
but
much
then,
better.
when the police officer says,
present
stop right where you are,
everyone.
he suddenly has his hat. What just happened? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. How many of these SpongeBob editing mistakes can you spot? Number 3.
Already?
This is no game!
All right, so when Mr. Krabs says, this is no game, SpongeBob is in his underwear. But just seconds later, he's randomly in his workout outfit. That's a pretty bizarre slip-up. Number 2.
Just send my last check to the P.O. box, Mr. Krabs.
Squidward, it was just a joke!
Okay, as you know, Squidward has 4 legs, right? But when SpongeBob grabs his legs, 2 of them mysteriously vanish. How did that even happen? Number 1. So, as you can see, Squidward stuffs paper towels in his ears to block out SpongeBob's laugh. But in the next shot, the paper towels are gone. Yep, that's a pretty obvious continuity error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Uncovered SpongeBob errors that are too funny to be true. Number 3.
Observations. Now.
My wife said she wouldn't even try it, no matter how much I saw.
It's always an argument. I mean, I've tried to...
All right, so as you can see, Sandy has a wristwatch on her right hand, but when she sits near the front to observe the fish, the wristwatch disappears. That's a clear continuity error. Number 2.
Can I punch you in the gut?
Sure, everybody does.
Thanks, big guy.
See you around.
Okay, so when a smaller fish punches Larry the lobster in the gut, they're standing in the sand, right? But in the next shot, when they walk away, they're suddenly on the road. That's definitely an animation slip-up. Number 1.
Oh! Gary! Well, I'll be.
When SpongeBob is sad because he can't tie his shoes, it's night. But when Gary ties his shoes, suddenly it's day. Pretty weird, right? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob animation bloopers even experts didn't catch. Number 3.
Is this the Krusty Krab? No! This is Patrick!
All right, so when Patrick picks up the phone and says, no, this is Patrick, the anchor symbol on his hat disappears for a frame. Yeah, that's definitely an animation slip-up. Number 2.
It's amazing how a simple change of clothes can make a guy look just like me.
Yep, if I...
When Patrick is in SpongeBob's clothing, his shirt doesn't have a collar, right? But then, in the very next shot, the shirt magically has a collar. What's up with that? Number 1.
And of course, the best is best.
When SpongeBob picks up Gary and some of his slime falls on the floor, but then when he hugs him and accidentally breaks his shell, the slime is completely gone. Talk about a continuity error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for
Oh
more.
no!
These
The
SpongeBob
children's
mistakes
balloons have
will
been
have you
overfilled.
questioning
They're
everything.
carrying
Number
the
3.
children out of control.
I don't know, Mrs. Puff. It looks like they're having a lot of fun.
Yes, too much fun
All
if
right,
you ask
so
me.
when Squidward says, but you can't pay me enough to act brotherly with
You
that
can
guy,
save the
take a look
children
at
by
Mr.
bubble
Krabs.
bashing
His
each of the
legs just
balloons.
disappear. Yeah,
Bubble
that's
bash all the
definitely an
balloons,
animation.
then come see
Number
me
2.
for a reward.
Here it is. Land squirrel.
Can do, Mrs. Puff. That little squirrel is in trouble.
Okay, so when SpongeBob says that little squirrel is in trouble, half of his belt is missing. Yeah, that's clearly a continuity error. Number 1.
It didn't go off. And then they died.
So in the first shot, the time on the clock looks like this, okay? Remember that. But literally, just a few seconds later, the time on the clock has completely changed. What's up with that? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Glaring SpongeBob editing fails that will ruin the show for you. Number 3.
Put it there, SpongeBob, boy.
Alright, so when Mr. Krabs chops SpongeBob's arm, take a look at his legs. They randomly turn purple instead of the usual red. Yeah, that's definitely an animation glitch. Number 2.
It's all here in my Squidward memory book. Here's at the camp. Here's when I moved in.
Okay, so when SpongeBob shows his memory book to Squidward, there's this one frame where Squidward's neck is completely detached from his body. Pretty weird, right? Number 1. So during this scene, when SpongeBob jumps, his eyes mysteriously turn yellow for a couple of frames. That's a clear continuity error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob's biggest slip-ups that everyone missed. Number 3.
This pizza without my track! You call yourself a delivery boy?
I feel like a new sponge.
All right, take a look at this incidental character. When he says delivery boy, his back fin randomly detaches from his body. That's definitely an animation glitch. Number 2.
Okay.
Okay, so when SpongeBob falls to the ground, his feet are facing sideways. Remember that, but just seconds later, his feet suddenly face upright. Talk about a weird mistake. Number 1.
Your breath stinks.
So when SpongeBob starts screaming Patrick, there's a frame where the holes on his body just disappear for a moment. Crazy, right? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more.
My
SpongeBob's hidden
hero.
animation blunders
You
exposed.
saved
Number
the
3.
children. Here's a golden
goodbye to Patrick,
spatula
Gary.
as a reward.
All right, so when SpongeBob carries Gary away from Patrick, one of his white sleeves turns yellow. Yep, that's definitely a continuity error. Number 2.
I'm sorry, but I can't take their party squid no more.
Okay, so as you can see, the floor inside the Krusty Krab is green, right? Remember that, but when Mr. Krabs rips up the Krusty Krab, the floor magically changes to brown. So yeah, that's totally an animation blunder. Number 1.
The finest eating establishment ever established for eating. Home of the Krabby Patty.
So when SpongeBob is looking at the Krusty Krab, he's standing on sand. Got it? But here's the issue. In the very next shot, he's randomly on the road. That's a weird slip-up. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Are these SpongeBob mistakes real, or are we seeing things? Number 3. So when SpongeBob is running towards Sandy's house, there's this frame where his air helmet is literally floating in mid-air. Yeah, that's definitely an animation glitch. Number 2. In the first shot, the staircase is only 3 steps, right? Keep that in mind. But then, moments later, when the con man falls, the same staircase magically has 10 steps. Pretty weird, don't you think? Number 1.
SpongeBob, I heard that you were collecting golden spatulas.
All right, so in the opening
Bubble Buddy,
scene,
I
there's
am.
this
Have you
incidental
seen one?
character wearing
Why,
a white
yes.
hat, right? But
We
in
were
the
having
very
a
next
sandcastle
shot, he's suddenly
contest,
wearing a
and
brown
somebody
shirt.
put a
Definitely
golden
strange
spatula
slip-up. If
on
you
the
find
top.
these mistakes
If I
interesting,
had a
make sure to
castle,
subscribe
I'd
for
name
more.
it Fort
The most
Pattytown the
ridiculous
Third.
SpongeBob
And Fort
animation
Pattytown
fails
the Third
ever
would
aired.
have a big
Number
bake
3.
sale every Monday.
The golden spatula?
What do we do?
Oh, at the
All
top
right,
of the
so when Bubblebase's
sandcastle,
mom
right.
says, "You
That should
chipped
be
my
easy to reach.
furniture," one of the temples of her
Well,
glasses
perhaps you
turns
should see
yellow
for
instead of
yourself.
staying black. That's definitely an animation slip-up. Number 2.
Go ahead. Tell me how much you like.
So when SpongeBob and Squidward are fighting over Squidward's drawing, there's this one frame where the drawing is missing from the paper. Yep, that's a clear continuity error. Number 1. Okay, so you know how there's always a badge on Sandy's suit, right? Well, in this scene, her badge just randomly disappears. Talk about a crazy mistake. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe.
For another
SpongeBob
fantastic
errors that will
day.
have you double check. Number 3.
Day in Love World.
All right, so when SpongeBob is about to board the bus, take a look at his right hand. It's missing for a few frames. That's a classic animation blunder. Number 2.
I am not leaving this spot!
Okay, check this this out. There's a sign above the window, right? Remember that, but when the lights go out, the sign just randomly disappears. That's a clear continuity error. Number 1.
You love music, right, Squidward? Then this'll definitely be your happiest memory. That was a sour note.
Now take a look at this incidental character here. She's wearing a pink dress, but here's the issue. In the very next shot, her dress is complete.
Fish sticks.
Pretty weird, don't you think? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. You missed these hilarious SpongeBob goofs until now. Number 3. All right, take a look at this incidental character right here. His lips are pale yellow, right? But in the next shot, they suddenly turn purple. Yeah, that's definitely an animation slip-up. Number 2. Okay, so as you can see, Mrs. Puff is wearing a red cap, right? But when she drinks the water, her cap suddenly turns black. Yeah, that's a pretty weird mistake. Number 1.
All set, Squidward.
You sure this is safe?
As long as someone competent is behind the wheel. Let's go.
All right, so when Sandy says all set, Squidward, her tail is just
Yeah,
gone.
like a
Talk about a
spring
continuity
breeze.
error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob editing fails that are stranger than fiction. Number 3. All right, check out this photo frame of SpongeBob right here. It says February, right? But then in the close-up shot, it randomly changes to December. Yep, that's definitely an animation error. Number 2.
You've been whirling on him all night, then. I've been looking all over.
Okay, so when Plankton takes off his glasses, his eyes completely disappear for a frame. Yeah, I'm pointing it out. It's such a bizarre slip-up. Number 1.
Cast one over.
What are you, couple of dizzy dims?
Hey, he said Hoops' catchphrase.
Now take a look at this old man right here. For just a split second, his bottom tooth vanishes. That's a strange mistake. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. The weirdest SpongeBob animation mistakes ever recorded. Number 3.
Handily saved your vessel from certain doom.
Nope, that didn't work.
So when Mr. Krabs says nope, the gap between his eyes fills with a random orange color. Yeah, I'm pointing it out. This is definitely an animation glitch. Number 2.
Oh, sparkling.
Squidward.
Happy opposite day, Squidward. Hate you.
Okay, so as you can see, SpongeBob is wearing his belt around his head, right? But just seconds later, his belt randomly appears around his waist. Yep, that's a clear continuity error. Number 1. All right, so during this scene, the bottom part of Patrick's body is just cut off. Yeah, I'm zooming in so you can see it clearly. Pretty weird, right? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more.
Hello,
Did
Gary.
SpongeBob
What's
really
new?
just make this error? Number 3.
Don't say. Squidward bought a new sweater. Oh, he's so crazy.
Does that mean I can have it?
All right, so
there's
in
a
the first
golden
shot, the
spatula
handle
at
on
the end
Squidward's
of this
door
cake.
looks like this, okay? Remember that, but just seconds later, the handle is completely different. That's a clear
a little
continuity
shade
error.
on a hot
Number 2.
day.
I'm giving you everything but the shirt off my back.
Oh.
Okay, take a look at SpongeBob. During this scene, his teeth randomly turn yellow instead of the usual white. Classic animation mistake right there. Number 1. So when Squidward is painting, the mouth on the painting is closed, right? Keep that in mind. But when it breaks, the mouth is suddenly open. Yeah, that's a pretty funny slip-up. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. These SpongeBob mistakes will leave you stunned. Number 3.
I'm going to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to work. I'm going to work.
All right, so take a look at this incidental character right here. During this shot, her eyes just disappear. Pretty weird, don't you think? Number 2. Okay, so when Bubble Bass says, our only escape, his eyes turn yellow instead of the usual white. Yeah, that's definitely a continuity error. Number 1.
Okay, I see it. It's a Krabby Patty, okay? I couldn't help it.
All right, so when Plankton is talking, take a look at the bottom of his body. The legs aren't colored in for a couple of frames. That's totally an animation glitch. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Shocking SpongeBob errors that prove nobody's perfect. Number 3.
I never let you have this ball.
All right, so in the first shot, Mrs. Puff is wearing a blue cap, right? But when SpongeBob hits her, her cap just disappears. Yeah, talk about a continuity error. Number 2.
Everything's like low.
Okay,
just
so
met
when
the
SpongeBob walks
Sponginator.
towards the office door, one of the holes in his body disappears for a frame. I'm pointing it out because that's definitely a strange slip-up. Number 1.
All right, remember
Just my size.
intervention. SpongeBob knows how much we all care about him.
Okay, take a look at SpongeBob's house. There's a window right next to the door, right? Remember that. But just seconds later, the window is magically gone. That's a pretty weird mistake. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob editing fails that will test your observation skills. Number 3.
You would just move away already.
Move away. But Squidward, I like it. Yeah.
All right, so when SpongeBob is talking to Squidward, there's a frame where both of his eyes turn yellow instead of the usual white. That's a pretty clear animation slip-up. Number 2. Okay, so when everyone is singing the song, take a look at SpongeBob. His entire mouth is missing for a split second. Pretty weird, right? Number 1.
No, Squidward, wait. There's cheese on these patties.
All right, so during this scene, the top right part of SpongeBob's head is just floating. Yeah, I'm pointing it out. That's definitely an animation error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Check out these SpongeBob goofs you've never heard of. Number 3. All right, so take a look at Sandy. She always has this badge on her suit, right? But when Sandy is flying, her badge randomly disappears. Yeah, that's clearly a continuity error. Number 2.
To retrieve the secret ingredient. It's time! SpongeBob,
Okay, so when the
help me
red light
find Patrick.
flashes at the
I have a
Krusty
task
Krab,
that I think
all the
he can
customers
help me
become
with.
transparent for a split second. I'm pointing it out. That's definitely an animation. Number 1.
Thanks, SpongeBob. If I could reach, I'd do it myself.
Sorry, but the
Okay,
carnival
so
is
when
closed.
Patrick walks
A
out of the
pesky
kitchen,
robot
his
has
eyebrows
taken
are
over me
just
ticket
missing for a
booth.
frame.
And
he looks
worse.
pretty weird, don't you think?
Me
If you find these
money.
mistakes interesting,
If you
make sure
help
to
me get rid
subscribe
of that
for more.
no-good robot,
The SpongeBob
I'll
mistakes
give you a
can't stop
big
laughing
reward.
at. Number 3.
They're all out of funds.
All right, so in this scene, take a look at this table, and
How many of
they
these
have
do
a
I have
green
to
outline.
carry?
Yeah, that's definitely an animation. Number 2.
So maybe it's a little outdated. I'll just get cooking. Dinner had better be fantastic.
Where's the whistle?
Okay, so when Mr. Krabs is talking to SpongeBob and Squidward, there's a frame where his entire mouth just disappears. Crazy, right? Number 1.
Mr. Krabs isn't coming back. Now keep quiet so I can hear the numbers they say. Hey, boy!
Mr. Krabs, I knew it.
All right, so in this shot, Squidward's left hand is completely cut off. Yep, I'm pointing it out. That's definitely a weird mistake. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob's most surprising editing oversights. Number 3. All right, so as you can see, SpongeBob is wearing a red tie, right? But in this shot, his tie randomly turns black. That's clearly an animation slip-up. Number 2.
Heck no, I mean crave. I gotta have my air.
I love air. Air is good.
No kid?
Why, air's my middle name.
Okay, so as you know, Sandy's neck is always brown, right? But during this scene, when she's talking to SpongeBob, her neck magically changes to white. That's definitely a continuity error. Number 1. Okay, check out this incidental character right here. During the scene, his pants keep appearing and disappearing. Yeah, I'm pointing it out because it's such a strange mistake.
Hey, this
if you
is
find these
mine.
mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. You won't believe these SpongeBob animation flows. Number 3. All right, take a look at the doorknob. It's yellow, right? Keep that in mind because just seconds later, the doorknob magically turns green. Yeah, that's a pretty clear continuity error. Number 2.
If you're about to get eaten, what can you wish for to make it so we don't get eaten?
I've got it all figured out.
Okay, during this scene, Squidward's right sleeve randomly
think SpongeBob's
disappears for a
underwear
frame.
fits
Yep,
like
I'm
right.
pointing it out. Definitely an animation slip-up. Number 1.
Hard as a rock.
Who knows what'll happen?
SpongeBob hides behind a door, and then Doodlebob erases it, right? But in the very next shot, the door is suddenly back. Pretty weird, don't you think? If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob's most embarrassing on-screen errors. Number 3.
My butt.
Dad, what are you doing? Son, what did I tell you?
All right, so as you can see, when SpongeBob crashes into the boat, there's only one character sitting on it, right? But just seconds later, another character magically appears out of nowhere. Pretty weird, right? Number 2.
Let's all put on a happy face for Flats the Flounder.
Okay, so when Flats first enters the classroom, take a look at the door. There's no window on it, got it? But in the next shot, when SpongeBob walks in, a window has mysteriously appeared on the door. That's a major continuity error. Number 1.
One of your slumber parties, I'm calling the cops.
So in the first shot, Squidward is wearing a sleep mask, right? But when he falls out of the bubble, his mask is suddenly gone. Talk about an animation slip-up. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. Once you see these SpongeBob mistakes, you'll be shocked. Number 3.
I will crush them! That one looks mighty gold.
All right, so in the first shot, if you look at the ketchup bottle, it's smaller than the mustard bottle, right? But in the very next shot, both bottles are the same size. Pretty weird, right? Number 2. Okay, so as you can see, SpongeBob is wearing a Krusty Krab hat, right? But when he looks at his reflection in the spatula, his hat is missing. Yeah, that's a funny little mistake. Number 1.
In Christmasland theme park, it's beside us. I knew this wasn't the North Pole.
Okay, so during this scene where Plankton is walking, his mouth duplicates itself. Yeah, I'm pointing it out because that's definitely an animation error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. SpongeBob animation errors that make no sense. Number 3.
Tell me you've got something totally cool.
All right, so take a look at the tables inside the Krusty Krab. The tables look like this, okay? Remember that. But when Pearl runs into the Krusty Krab, the design of the tables is completely different. Pretty weird, right? Number 2.
Thing that used to give my life meaning and purpose.
But scientifically speaking, it's caused by your epiglottis constricting your larynx.
Okay, so when Sandy pulls down this chart of the body, her tail randomly disappears for a split second. Yeah, that's a pretty bad animation error. Number 1.
I had to pay Mr. Krabs $100 now.
During this scene, when Patrick is talking to SpongeBob, his entire mouth is just missing for a frame. Yeah, I'm pointing it out. That's definitely an animation error. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. These SpongeBob editing slip-ups will blow your mind. Number 3.
Why are we dressed like this?
All right, so as you can see, there's a white tag right here on Patrick's outfit, right? But in the next shot, the tag randomly changes to brown. So that's a clear continuity error. Number 2. Okay, take a look at this incidental character right here. He has a purple background.
Love opening
Just
presents.
seconds later, his fin magically changes to green. Yeah, talk about an animation mistake. Number 1.
Time to watch a master.
Kabam!
Greetings,
I feel like a new
I'm
sponge.
here to tell you.
All right, so when Sandy opens her door, her brown tail is completely missing for the entire scene. That's definitely a weird slip-up. If you find these mistakes interesting, make sure to subscribe for more. The funniest SpongeBob animation fails ever seen. Number 3. Okay, during this scene, there's a frame where Squidward's bottom mouth is just gone. Yeah, he looks pretty weird, right? Number 2.
Oh, here in my Squidward memory book.
What?
Here's at the camp. Here's when I moved in right next door.
All right, so when SpongeBob shows his memory book to Squidward, take a look at Squidward. His neck is completely disconnected from his body. Yeah, that's definitely an animation slip-up. Number 1.
Did you say chocolate?
Yes, sir. With or without nuts.
Chocolate? Chocolate!
All right, check out this incidental character right here. His eyes are yellow, right? But just seconds later, they
How many
suddenly
of
change
these
to
do I
green.
have to
Talk about a
carry?
continuity error. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob's most obvious errors. Number 3.
The best driving student I've ever had, Roger. Kudos.
What is a whistle?
All right, so in this shot, Mrs. Puff's lipstick is red, right? But in the very next shot, her lipstick has magically changed from red to pink. Yeah, that's definitely an animation error. Number 2.
Giving it a nice shining between orders. Instead of 11. Please guarantee nutrients and vitamins.
Okay, so as you know, there's always a galley grub menu sign inside the Krusty Krab, right? But in this episode, the sign just vanishes for no reason. That's a clear continuity mistake. Number 1.
Oh my, it's time to go home. Squidward, what are you still doing here?
All right, so in the first shot, SpongeBob isn't wearing a watch, right? Keep that in mind. But just seconds later, he's suddenly wearing it. Pretty weird, don't you think? If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. These SpongeBob mistakes are too wild to be true. Number 3.
I guess I'll just open a checking account.
All right, take a look at Incidental 7. She's wearing lipstick, right? But in the very next shot, her lipstick is suddenly gone. That's a clear animation error. Number 2.
I love Krabby Patties!
Put all along, Squidward.
Okay, so during this scene, one of the holes on SpongeBob's body turns blue for a split second. Yeah, that's definitely a weird mistake. Number 1. Okay, so in this shot, when Patrick is running around like a horse, if you pay attention to his shadow, it keeps disappearing and reappearing underneath him. That's a pretty strange slip-up. If you are enjoying these mistakes,
Congratulations,
then subscribe for more.
SpongeBob! You're
SpongeBob
king of the
Goof's
beach.
hidden in classic
Here,
episodes.
have a
Number
golden
3.
spatula.
And now it's Squiddy time.
All right, so as you can see, Squidward puts a closed sign on the door, right? But in the next shot, the sign is completely gone. That's a clear continuity error. Number 2.
Oh boy, only 6 to 8 before I can work at the Krusty Krab again.
Okay, so during this scene, SpongeBob's entire mouth disappears for a couple of frames. Yeah, he looks pretty weird, right? Number 1.
No, I mean...
Good night, Bikini Bottom! I love you!
All right, so when Squidward pops his head out of the window, his iconic forehead wrinkles are missing for a frame. That's definitely an animation slip-up. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. Editing mistakes in SpongeBob, that'll change how you see it. Number 3.
Replacement spatula? How could anything ever replace... Hey, look at that!
All right, so when SpongeBob says, "Hey, look at that," his red tie randomly disappears for a couple of frames. Yeah, that's clearly an animation error. Number 2.
What do you know about driving the invisible boat?
Okay, so in this scene, SpongeBob's headband literally overlaps through his eyes for a split second. That's definitely a weird slip-up. Number 1.
The hunt signal! You're the invisible! Vote for me!
Okay, when Mermaid Man is talking, one side of his belt magically turns orange. It's supposed to be yellow like usual, but the animators completely messed up. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob's animation fails that went completely unnoticed. Number 3.
Mr. Squidward, it's not time to your break.
All right, so in this scene, one of SpongeBob's teeth randomly turns yellow for a frame. That's a clear animation error. Number 2.
I should have gone with my first idea. Tick.
Okay, so right before the bubble transition, the X and O on the paper disappear. Yeah, I'm playing this in slow motion so you can see it clearly. Pretty weird, right? Number 1.
Three cheers for SpongeBob! Hip hip!
All right, Mr.
Hip hip!
All right,
Hip hip!
all right, Mr.
Be in my quarters.
Okay, take a look at Squidward's hat. It always has this anchor on it, right? Well, in this shot, the anchor's completely missing. Talk about a strange slip-up. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. Hilarious SpongeBob blunders that will make your day. Number 3. All right, so in this scene, SpongeBob is wearing a pink nightcap. Remember that? But just a few frames later, his cap randomly changes to green. That's a clear continuity error. Number 2.
This new toy!
Now take a look at Gary's eyes. They're always red, right? But in this frame, his eyes magically change to purple. Talk about a weird slip-up. Number 1.
Respectfully tell you, I will never visit. Ooh, present number 1.
Okay, so when Squidward shouts, one side of SpongeBob's white shirt turns transparent for a couple of frames. That's definitely an animation glitch. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob errors that made it past the cutting room. Number 3.
Gary, what are you doing here?
Alright, so in this scene, the blue dots on Gary's shell randomly turn brown. Yep, that's definitely an animation error. Number 2. Okay, check out this incidental character right here. There's a frame where his eye's pupil is completely missing. Really weird slip up, right? Number 1.
The brand new Patty Whip is now on the menu.
So as you all know, at the Krusty Krab, there's always a galley grub menu right here. But in this shot, the menu just magically disappears. Talk about a continuity mistake. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob mistakes that fans are just now finding. Number 3.
That's tennis ball. Tentacles. Come on.
Alright, so
Hey,
as
my
you
back
can see,
feels
Patrick's
better.
eyelids
That's
are always
much
purple, right?
better.
Remember that, but in this shot, his eyelids randomly change to pink. Yeah, that's definitely a continuity error. Number 2. Okay, so during this scene, SpongeBob is wearing red pants, right? But just seconds later, his pants randomly turn blue. That's a clear animation error. Number 1.
Patrick and I have something to show you. It's unbelievable.
That's just what I'm looking for.
Okay, so when SpongeBob is talking, there's a frame where his entire mouth just disappears. Yeah, he looks pretty weird, right? If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob's most unbelievable editing fails. Number 3.
What's wrong with my gap?
A gap that big between your teeth can be extremely dangerous.
Alright, so when SpongeBob is sliding past a customer, there's a frame where both of his eyes turn yellow instead of the usual white. That's clearly an animation glitch. Number 2.
The best there is? I don't think so. You.
Okay, take a look at Incidental 5. During this scene, his entire mouth just disappears. Yeah, he looks pretty weird, right? Number 1.
Woo, up we go!
Alright, so when Mini Squidward is playing the clarinet, one side of SpongeBob's shirt turns yellow. It's supposed to be white, but the animators really messed up. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. Did you spot these shocking SpongeBob errors already? Number 3. Alright, so when Barnacle Boy crashes through the door's wheel changes color from blue to cream. Yeah, that's definitely an animation error. Number 2.
That one looks mighty cold.
Okay, check out this incidental character right here. She's wearing a yellow shirt, right? But just seconds later, her shirt randomly changes to brown. Talk about a major continuity mistake. Number 1.
Amazing.
Alright, take a look at Trident. He's wearing blue pearls around his wrist, okay? Remember that. But in the next shot, 3 of the pearls on his bracelet change
This
color,
one
just like
goes
his skin.
boom.
Yeah, that's
Wait,
definitely a
whistle.
weird slip-up. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. These SpongeBob mistakes are hidden gems for fans. Number 3.
Smoothies! Yummy.
Alright, take a look at this incidental character right here. His mouth completely disappears for a frame. Yeah, that's a pretty weird slip-up. Number 2.
Did you see that? I ran right through a brick wall. I'm hard as...
Okay, during this scene, a small rock on the road literally overlaps with Patrick's leg. That's a clear animation.
SpongeBob's
Number
underwear
1.
fits quite right.
Where's that bus? Late again.
Alright, check this out. Squidward's wearing a watch on his hand, right? But seconds later, when the bus doors open, his watch magically disappears. Talk about a major continuity. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. Crazy SpongeBob animation errors you can't believe happen. Number 3.
Hello, and welcome one and all your money to ye old Krusty Krab.
Alright, so during this scene, Mr. Krabs' belt completely disappears for a few seconds. Yeah, that's a pretty weird slip-up. Number 2.
Here you go, sir. Forgot your flyer.
Get out of town to
a beautiful
love
sunny shore
opening presents.
resort.
Okay, in the first shot, the vacation paper clearly reads
It
Seashore Resort,
shines.
right? Remember that. But in the next shot, it suddenly says Sunny Shore Resorts. That's a clear continuity error. Number one.
Ravioli, give me the formuloli. Don't listen to him. He's obviously a robot.
All right, so as you can see, this robot crab isn't wearing any undershirt, right? But then in this shot, it suddenly has a white undershirt. That's definitely an animation glitch. If you are enjoying these mistakes, then subscribe for more. SpongeBob editing fails everyone overlooked. Number 3.
A great Grammy Moore, you win again. All hail great Canasta Master.
All right, so in this scene, SpongeBob's left hand is just cut off. Yeah, I'm playing it in slow motion so you can see it clearly. That's definitely an